boom. All right, it's 5 in the morning. I'm gonna drive about 7.5 hours to go pick up a Firebird. Here we go. All right, I left right around 5:30 this morning, and now it's about just after 9, and we got it. And I'm gonna drive home, and we'll do a review and demo. Welcome back, everyone, to Beckler Guitars and Repair. Back from the 7-hour drive that I left at 5 in the morning for. So let's take a look at what we got. Okay, so was this thing worth the drive or not? Let's find out. So first of all, it came in this heavy-duty flight case, which is an obvious upgrade. I think this model only came with a gig bag. Let's have a look at what we got here. So yeah, here we are. It is a 2016 Gibson Firebird. And it looks like it's in quite nice condition. Just have a quick scan over everything here. It's got the rosewood fingerboard. It's bound. It's got the nibs. It's a neck through design, Sunburst. It's got those mini bucker pickups. So it's in pretty nice shape. I did get a chance to look over it before I bought it, so I just made sure everything was decent. And yeah, that's 2016 there. And there's one chip on the serial number. You can still read it though. It's 1600999043. And there's one other kind of a ding on the body. Yeah, right there. There's a little bit of a mark, as you can see. But other than that, everything looks good on it. It's still got the plastic on the back cavity. One thing I did notice is that the action's kind of high on it. So yeah, the action's a little bit high on there. I think the neck just needs a little bit of an adjustment. See if I can get that on camera. But if you look right down the neck, you can see it's just the tiniest bit bowed. So the truss rod just needs to be tightened a bit. But the next thing we're going to do is put it on the bench, take it apart, have a look at everything, see how these Steinberger machine heads work, and check all the parts to make sure it is original. Everything's original, because that's hard to check when you're picking something up. You don't want to just sit there and rip all the screws apart and take it apart. You can't really do that. So you kind of have to take the seller's word sometimes. Of course, you can do a couple things. I always check the truss rod just to make sure it's not maxed out, because that's going to be really hard to fix. And I usually don't pick up guitars with bad neck problems, because it's just not worth it unless it's very discounted for the price. And yeah, we'll check the pickups to make sure they're original. We'll check the electronics, and we'll give it a restring and a setup and figure out how these Steinbergers work. Okay, here it is on the bench here. So first things first, we want to take the strings off. So I'll show you how these Steinberger machine heads work. It's pretty simple. So basically you turn these counterclockwise to get the machine head to rise. This is also how you tune the guitar. So tightening it puts tension on that string where it's locked, and it goes down into the cavity, which increases the tension. So just like you turn a normal machine head, it tunes the same way. So when you're changing strings, you raise these up all the way counterclockwise in the bottom mechanism there, and then do that to all of them. I'll go as fast as I can here. These are great machine heads. I prefer my Firebirds have these type because they just work so well and they look really cool on the headstock as well. So, okay, now that they're all up, and you can't turn them anymore, these are the locking mechanisms. These would lock the string in place with tension. So then we just unlock these. Someone taking these pretty good. Wow, that one's really on there. Okay. So, okay. Now these should all just pull out very easily. Yeah, everything's out. So then to string it, or to restring it, you do the exact same thing in the opposite way. So you put the strings through, tighten them just enough. If there's a tiny bit of tension on it, then you're going to lock these top parts down. That'll lock the string in place. Then you're going to cut just very close to the post, giving them maybe about a 1/4 inch of extra slack, just in case it sucks back. And then you just tune it up on the bottom here by going clockwise, and it'll sink into the cavity to increase the tension. So yeah, it's pretty simple to do that, and quite an ingenious design. Okay, I'm just checking out the bridge and the tailpiece. So this is API, Advanced Plating Incorporated, which is standard for Gibson parts. Same with the back. And those are the original knobs as well, and the switch tip. So yeah, everything on this guitar is factory original. I just want to go over any kind of blemishes I found. So again, the frets are nice even after the quick cleaning. Barely any fretwear can be seen. If you get really close, you can maybe see a small amount of wear there, but nothing that'll affect playability. So nothing worth fixing at this point. It looks like we do have one kind of scuff there. It's not too bad. It's just you can definitely feel it on the finish, but it's not through the finish. Holding it up to the light, there's just some finish scuffs and handling marks, but I haven't even cleaned it yet, so a lot of these will probably get polished out. The back is looking good. Again, just some slight handling marks and some finish marks, but nothing major. Looks like we got one little scuff there, but if it's not through the finish, it feels pretty smooth. And then the only other notable ones I found were on the serial number. You get a bit of a ding there, and that's about it. Overall, I would call this very good condition, not quite excellent. Okay, so let's restring it and give it a bit of a setup. Okay, now we're going to take the opportunity just to check out the relief on the neck. So I'm using my notch straight edge just to check here. So it looks like, with no string tension on, it's about dead flat. So there's no relief in this neck with no tension on. The strings that he had on there were very thick. I think they're 11s. So once we go down to 9s, which is what I like, it should just put the tiniest bit of relief. So like when it's strung up, you'll just see the tiniest little space between this notched straight edge and the fretboard, and that means that there's just a tiny bit of relief in there, which is just what you want when you're doing a setup. Let's have a look at the frets and the fretboard. So looks like there's a little bit of wear on the frets here, but pretty smooth to the finger. Like, you can definitely not feel any divots, so there's a bit of play wear there, but not enough that requires any attention. And the fretboard is a little grungy, so we're definitely going to clean that up. So let's clean the fretboard. Okay, I'm using Dunlop Fingerboard 01 Cleaner and Prep. Works quite well to get the grunge off. And I'm using a microfiber cloth because they're relatively inexpensive and they don't scratch finishes. So yeah, this fretboard's pretty clean, definitely not bad. So yeah, there's definitely some grunge coming off, but overall, not too bad. Now I'm just going to oil the fingerboard with, I use Dunlop 65 Fretboard Lemon Oil. I do like the Dunlop cleaning products. I usually use Dunlop 65 for cleaning guitars. Unless it's something super vintage that has lots of checking, then I just use like naphtha, which is like lighter fluid. Just because the 65 or other cleaners can get in the checking and can cause some problems with the finish if it's vintage nitro and checking to the point where it's open. So I use my fingers to really rub it into the pores of the wood. And I'm sure it's safe for your fingers, it's just lemon oil. And then I just get the excess with a microfiber. And there we go, nice and hydrated and clean. So next we're going to check the electronics. Okay, so let's check the electronics. This is a used guitar, so we want to make sure everything's factory original on it, because this eventually will be going on Reverb. Okay, so there's our neck pickup, which looks proper. It's the Rhythm Firebird 2016, which is the year of the guitar. So we can be confident that that is original. And our neck cavity looks good here. Nice clean routes. The VS stands for Vintage Sunburst. And let's check our bridge pickup. So there's our bridge cavity. Nice route. Looks like it's DSFTO. Not sure what that means. And there's our lead Firebird pickup, which is the mini bucker, and the date, which is 2016. So that all looks proper. And let's look under the pickguard here. Looks like your standard switch with your standard route for the cables. So let's just make sure everything fits back in there properly before we put that back on. And I want to flip around to the back now and just check the back cavity. Okay, so it looks like there's still the protective film on our back cavity. So I'm going to go ahead and peel that off. Make sure I get that on camera because it's so satisfying. Unless it's to the point where it's almost impossible to get off because like the plastic almost fuses to the other parts. But nope, this is nice. Oh yeah. That's nice. Okay, just a quick look at the back cavity here. Everything looks as it should. They're Gibson branded pots, and the soldering all looks good. Looks like it hasn't been altered at all. Yeah, so everything on this guitar is factory original. So let's just check the truss rod. So the truss rod looks good. Sometimes those are the initials of the person that worked on the guitar who did the final setup. But yeah, it looks like no threads are showing, so there's plenty of room for adjustment. And yeah, everything looks good there. Okay, we're going to string this up with D'Addario 9s. Get this in order here. So yeah, a lot of people top wrap. I don't, because I just raise the back tailpiece, and that kind of provides the same relief on tension as top wrapping, and doesn't damage the tailpiece. So I'm just going to go over how to restring these Steinbergers again. So yeah, pretty simple. You just go string it through and pull the tension tight, not overly tight, because you still want to have room to tune up to pitch. Then you lock these little heads in, not overly tight, but you know, firmly locked. And again, I'll do this as quickly as I can here. So locked, and the D string. Okay, everything is locked in place. So I'm just keeping the truss rod off in case, or sorry, the truss cover off in case we need to adjust something once it's tuned to the new gauge of string that I'm putting on here. And I'm going to go ahead and snip the strings. So you don't want to snip too close to the post. Give yourself about a 1/4 inch just in case. And oh, these aren't the greatest snippers. These are better. And then let's tune it up. All right, and then while we're here, now that it's tuned up, we can check the action. So it looks like at the nut, the action's very low. I checked that by pressing on the 3rd fret and just seeing how it looks on the 1st fret. If the string is like resting almost against the fret, that means the action is quite nice. If it's too low and buzzing, you would loosen the truss rod. If it's too high, you can tighten the truss rod too, and that will increase or decrease the action here near the nut. Also, the nut slots could be affect how that the action is on the nut too. So sometimes these need to be cut, or a new nut needs to be installed if you've adjusted the action and there's still problems. It's like if there's just enough relief in the neck and there's still issues, it could be a nut cut issue. But this one looks good. And I'm just going to check the action on the strings, or on the neck rather. So just like we hypothesized, there's just ever slightly a little bit of relief in the neck with the 9s tuned up to pitch, which is just what we want. I'm noticing that the action near the 12th is a little higher than I would like. In millimeters, we're looking at like 2.5. So I like that to be down to like 1 or 1.5. So I'm gonna lower the bridge a bit. What's nice about this bridge is they've got the Allen key inserts, so you can just thumb wheel it at the bottom, but if it's too stiff, which is sometimes the case, which is actually the case this time, I mean, it's doable, but it's pretty hard. Oh, there we go. So I'm still just going to use an Allen key. So it looks like this is the right one. Okay, so now we can lower it to where we want. Typically, lower is better, but you don't want to get so low that you have buzz. So as long as the frets are all where they need to be, we should be able to get the action pretty low without any issue. So that's about more where I like it. Let's just check that action quick. So in millimeters at the 12th, now we're looking at like 1, maybe 1.5. Same thing for the high E. That's like at 1. So this is optimal action for me. I like a bit of lighter strings and low action. Just makes everything easier to play. But a lot of people have different preferences. I can tell already this might be a little too low. However, when we tune all the strings up to pitch, it might increase the tension a bit on the neck, and then it might work itself out. But we'll see. So, okay, our pickup height looks a little high. Just noticing that now. So I'm just gonna change that while we're looking at it. It's not affecting anything in terms of string rattle or anything, but just something I noticed. Alright, so we're tuned up. Let's try one more time here. Yeah, I can always tell, or I can already tell there's a bit of buzz, so let's see. Open, a little bit of buzz, but let's just try it fretted. Alright, so there's a little bit of buzz in the near the nut, and a little bit by the bridge. So that tells me I think I'm gonna have to loosen the truss rod a little bit and raise the height just a tad, and then that should get rid of the issues. Alright, so let's try that. we've got our Gibson truss tool here. So we're just gonna give it a quarter turn just to put a little bit more action or relief into the neck. Okay, so let's just still check our action at the third and the first. So it's still quite low there. And just tune up a little bit again. And it's already better. Still just a little bit. We still haven't raised the bridge any. So I'm going to raise it just like a half a turn. Same here. A little less than half a turn. The action is still quite good. Maybe just a little bit lower to see what we can get away with. And I'm going to give it just another quarter turn on the truss rod. Okay. Let's try that. So the action's still quite nice. Here it's a little bit higher, but still like quite nice. So let's just tune up again. So this is all part of the setup process, especially when you change your gauge of strings from heavy to light or light to heavy. It's going to require some truss adjustments and some fine tuning. Alright, so I can tell already it's going to be a lot better. So let's just try to see if there's any places fretting out now. Alright, great. So now we have it quite low. It's very low at the nut. The string is just resting on the first fret when we finger the third. And our action at the 12th is about 1.5 on the low E and about 1.5 on the high E. So quite low, especially with these nines. It's very easy to okay, great. So I think we're about ready to plug it in. Let's get that truss cover back on and stretch the strings. So stretching the strings, especially when you put a new set on, just really helps with tuning stability. And stretching the string, I just yank it up, and so I'm actually pulling it up and bending it, you know, horizontally. So I'm doing both. And it's just quick. It just helps stabilize the string when you're tuning it, because otherwise if you're bending or playing aggressively, it still does this, but it takes a lot longer. So if you're going to play a show, it's a lot better to do this beforehand rather than having to tune up a million times on stage. And just be careful on this high E string, because if you do pull too hard, it will break. Doesn't matter what kind of string it is, it's just gonna break. Although I do find D'Addario's the least likely to break. I've used a whole bunch of strings throughout the years. And Ernie balls are great strings, but I've had them break a lot when I'm stretching. D'Addario's very seldomly. Elixir's break. Dean Markley's break. And again, every string breaks, but sometimes. But D'Addario's, for me anyway, seem to have the best track record. Alright, we're tuned up. Strings are stretched. Let's give it one last final polish and see how it looks. Alright, let's take a quick look at how it cleaned up. So yeah, I managed to get a nice shine on there. Little hair there. So let's go over with the light quickly. So yeah, looks quite good. There's just some light scuffs or wear marks, but nothing too bad. The only thing notable would be a little mark on the neck there, a little mark near the serial there, and one scuff right there. But yeah, overall, quite clean, very good condition, I would say. And now that it's set up with 9s, it plays and sounds really good. So let's just plug it in. Okay, we're hooked up to the Diamond Del Fugo, the 212. I've got the attenuator going. I've got it very low so we can get some clean. And then I'm running the Holy Grail through Reverb. I'm going to turn it down a little bit because it was pretty reverby on the last video. And I'm using the Toro Servo at about 25, and that's just a enhancer. So this is the bridge. This is the neck. All right, now I'm just gonna quickly try it with a little bit of gain here. So we'll start on the neck pickup with some dirt. Alright, so final thoughts on the 2016 Firebird T. Yeah, it's a great guitar. I really like the tuners. The Steinberger tuners I've always have. They just, it's such a good design. They stay in tune so well. And you've got nice string pull here too. So like the tuners are very straight in relation to the nut. So it's really good for tuning stability. The locking tuners work great. Yeah, the fretboard's really nice on this one. It's got the nice streaky rosewood, and yeah, it's set up nicely. The nuts in good shape. All the electronics are original. So yeah, it seems like a great guitar. I really like the tone of the mini buckers. Sounds really good, clean or dirty. So yeah, this was a good guitar. Also, the case is pretty heavy duty. This is a Warwick rock case, flight case. So it looks like it'll withstand a bomb going off. So that's a nice bonus as well. Well, thank you for stopping by and spending time. Please comment, like, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Thank you.